I'm pleased to introduce you to one of our newest initiatives, the re-recruitment of retired officers to a unit that utilizes their vast experience.
A giant among popes, but who'll take his place?
There's a deep crisis there.
An old world, new world dilemma for Catholics. And the stem cell gold rush.
We can't have cowboys out there.
A warning to those hoping for a quick cure. Good evening and welcome to Foreign Correspondent. Tonight, the latest health scare for the Pope has more than ever had Catholics considering the future. A second breathing crisis in the space of a month, raising the question, who will succeed Pope John Paul? The 84-year-old pontiff is the third longest serving pope and a towering figure in Catholic history. But the world, of course, has changed enormously during his 27-year reign, and the cardinals know their choice is vital if the Catholic Church is to maintain its power and influence.
Rome. For 2,000 years, home of the sovereign state of the Vatican. The city may be eternal, but with one health scare after another, time is running out for the 264th Pope, John Paul II. The cardinals are scrutinising their own ranks to choose the first new Pope in 27 years. One who can stem a loss of followers of the faith.
The repercussion is that if that trend continues, then the people are becoming less and less Christian. Less and less Christian.
Many are choosing sects or other groups because of the weakness of our witness. We need people more engaged with the faith.
The field of candidates might be large, but the morally conservative Polish-born pontiff handpicked nearly all of them. He has created a group of cardinals in his own image. The possibility the next pope might be more liberally minded is almost non-existent.
If you ask the general public, what are the big issues facing the church? Many of them would name things like abortion or divorce or birth control or gay marriage. It's kind of the hot button, what we call pelvic issues. But inside the College of Cardinals, there isn't much disagreement on those questions. By and large, they would all have the same position that the Catechism of the Church and the Pope have.
Although they may be conservative in that sense, the favoured cardinals from South America, Europe and Africa, who are front runners for the top job, are men of great contrasts. The two you're going to meet in our story represent some very different approaches to the future of the Church. The cardinals know that the next pope they choose must be able to handle two major challenges to the Catholic Church. One is to halt the inroads being made by other religions in the battle for the hearts and minds of believers. The other is to keep the Church relevant in a world where more and more people don't believe in any God. Cardinal Francis Arinze is both passionate about winning over people in the developing world and impeccably connected in Rome, making him an obvious contender.
I just feel that I am myself. If I am more Roman than African, other people will judge. I will not be a good judge in my own case. So let them judge. But I only try to be myself.
The African drummers and dancers who pushed aside the Latin pomp in St. Peter's Basilica a decade ago were a powerful symbol of the church's continuing shift in influence from the old world to the new. Everybody noticed the cardinal from Nigeria who sat on the papal throne during this first ever synod of African bishops. Could he be the first black pope of the modern era?
I certainly think that Cardinal Arinze could be pope, and I think he would be a very attractive pope because he communicates joy.
For 20 years, Vatican journalist Gerard O'Connell has watched Arinze grow from strength to strength.
His observers, those who are in the Vatican as well, note that he never put a foot wrong. And one of his close collaborators said to me, the amazing thing about this man is that he can say the hardest things to people and yet not offend, because he says it with a smile.
Francis Arinze was born in 1932 in Eziowele, a village in southeast Nigeria, one of 7 children of Joseph and Bernadette. He was raised in the beliefs of the African traditional religion until he was converted by missionaries.
I was only 9 years old when I was baptized. So you must not think I was a great theologian in the African traditional religion. Then I studied the Holy Eucharist and all the books of Thomas Aquinas, and then I became a Catholic. Not really. I was just a small boy of 9 years.
He trained for the priesthood in Italy, but was ordained in Nigeria. Rome noticed his talent early. In 1965, he was made the youngest bishop in the world. Arinze has risen to be one of the most powerful men at the Vatican. From his office overlooking St. Peter's, he heads the Congregation for Divine Worship, putting him in charge of the prayer life of the church. But it was Cardinal Arinze's former position as the Pope's right-hand man in interreligious dialogue that set him apart. For 18 years, he was at John Paul II's side as he crisscrossed the globe to connect with not only the world's 1 billion Catholics, but also the other great religions.
You have finished your meeting, or you begin?
We have almost finished. Almost. 3 hours more.
In the mid-80s, the Cardinal did the Pope's bidding to organise a controversial gathering of leaders of all religions in Assisi, in the heart of Catholic Italy. It was an event frowned on by more conservative forces at the Vatican.
They stood together in a circle where the Pope was on the same level and occupying the same position as, you know, a rabbi and a mufti and a Native American wearing the Indian headdress and so forth. This was a cause of enormous scandal among the conservatives in the Vatican who saw this as relativism and New Age and just couldn't believe that a Pope would do it.
This experience could be indispensable in coming years as the Catholic Church competes with the rise of Islam. The faithful who worship in this giant mosque in Rome, almost on the doorstep of the Vatican, are a powerful reminder of the competition the Catholic Church faces for followers in both the developed and developing world.
So that mosque in Rome tends to be a tremendous symbol, if you like, of what sticks in the craw of a lot of Christians thinking about the relationship with Islam.
Mario Scialoia is a rare Italian. He converted from Catholicism to Islam. A former Italian ambassador to the United Nations, he's now the director of Italy's World Muslim League.
I don't expect there to be extremely happy to see such a fast growth of the Muslim population in Italy, but I mean, they didn't show any resentment for that.
Islam is making inroads into traditional Christian areas with a zeal and energy that cannot be ignored. Vatican watcher journalist John Allen has no doubt the Catholic Church is afraid.
Tremendously afraid. I think the reality is that if you look at the world situation, Islam has about 1.1 billion members, so does Roman Catholicism. Islam is expanding rapidly in a lot of border zones where Christianity has traditionally found itself.
Arinze is prepared to tackle the contest head-on. His approach to interfaith dialogue is straightforward. The aim of the game is more Catholics.
So when everybody becomes a Catholic, the Pope would close that office for interreligious dialogue. But this one for sacraments and divine worship will remain. But we have not come to that day yet. And we cannot arrive at religious unity by force, or by maneuver, or by political arm twisting.
But there's another issue that is preoccupying the Vatican, the loss of belief among traditional Catholic populations in the more affluent West.
Probably 1,000 or 15 years older than Christ.
It's one that Australian Cardinal George Pell, an influential member of the most conservative wing in Rome, knows only too well.
There's a continuous history here.
There is a very, very real challenge for the faith here in Europe, which traditionally has been the intellectual and spiritual motor of the church. But if there's a continuing radical collapse here in Europe, it will, and there's no inevitability about that, that will weaken us considerably.
And there's a deep crisis there. And there's a sense that this Pope, just for whatever reason, has not been able to figure out how to talk to Western Europe.
And the remedy could lie in Venice, the city that gave the world 3 popes last century. More after the break.